With abortion restrictions now in the hands of states, anti-abortion activists are focusing on 30 states. They see openings either for outright bans or further restrictions on abortion. In Michigan, for example, a dormant law criminalizing abortion has now taken effect with the overturning of Roe. But a court injunction is keeping the procedure legal in that state for now. It is unclear how long that injunction will remain in place. For more on this, I'm joined by NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns. Hey, Dasha, I know you sat down with a group of Republican women in Michigan, and like a lot of Republicans, they have varying views on abortion. What did you learn?
Yeah. Chris, that's exactly right. These women all have a very similar voting record for most of their lives. They all come from religious backgrounds, but they bring very different perspectives to the table on this issue. And they've been very frustrated with how red or blue, black or white this issue has been painted. When they sit down, they say they see a whole lot more purple, a whole lot more gray. Take a listen to some of our conversation.
On Friday, honestly, I cried on and off all day. I have a daughter who's 7, and I just think about the fact that, you know, this is going to start rolling out so many different legal implications for human rights.
My first reaction was, please let us not then take this pendulum and swing it ways so that now, like, abortion illegal for anything. There's
no black or white, all or nothing.
Black or white, all or nothing, because that's not going to do any good. Abortion is not going to go away because of this ruling.
I was very overwhelmed with joy. We all have value, that we are born with an inherent dignity, all of us, that can never be removed, no matter what we've done, from the first moments of conception until natural death. We need to do better as caring for women. We need to put more resources and funding into these services to help women from the very beginning and well beyond the birth of their child.
So very different viewpoints there, Chris, but there was also some really interesting overlap, things that all of these women agreed on. One being they all felt like politicians who use this issue on the campaign trail are disconnected from the reality that women face. They were also frustrated that these bans in certain states that have already banned abortion, that it's not coming with more support for women, more support for pregnant women, more support for young mothers. They see that left out of the conversation. And lastly, they also were frustrated with how these decisions are being made. They felt like all of these legal battles happening in the courts are leaving out voter voices. Chris?
Dasha Burns, so interesting. Thank you for doing that for us. And in Georgia, the legal fight is over a 2019 law that would ban abortion at 6 weeks, before many women even know they are pregnant. Immediately after the Supreme Court ruling, the state attorney general, Chris Carr, filed notice asking the court to allow that 6-week law to take effect instead of the current 20-week ban. The judge did not rule, but instead gave the state and the ACLU 21 days to file their written briefs. Joining us now is Democratic State Senator Jen Jordan from Georgia, who is running to be the state's next attorney general. Thanks for being with us. Your fellow Georgian and Democrat, Stacey Abrams, says if you are a woman in Georgia, you should be terrified right now. I mean, many of the arguments that will be made on both sides in those written briefs were already made when that law passed. What do you think in your gut the judge is likely to do, and are you also terrified?
Look, I think what the judge is likely to do is to have the law go into effect. And it is terrifying, not only as a woman, but as a mother. I mean, look, the consequences that I outlined in 2019 in terms of the effects that this law would have on women throughout this state, it's coming to fruition. And every woman in this state, especially every woman that can vote, needs to understand exactly what the implications are and the impact, and understand that in November, they have an opportunity to get the people out of office who kind of brought us here in the first place.
You mentioned 2019. This is a deeply personal issue for you. Talk about that, if you don't mind, again, and how this has shaped your views and shaped, frankly, your candidacy.
Yeah, I think in 2019, when we were considering HB 481, which is the abortion ban in Georgia, I really wanted to talk about things in a way that wasn't just in the normal, political way folks talk about abortion, it kind of an all or nothing thing. Because really what we talk about when we talk about the right of privacy or women and their ability to make these decisions, it affects every single part of their life. So for me, I've never had an abortion. I've never sought to have an abortion. But look, I've had multiple miscarriages. I know what it means to be pregnant. I know what it means to lose a pregnancy. And look, those are some of the most trying and difficult times in a woman's life. And to be quite frank, government has no role and no place in the doctor's office with women.
The bill does have exceptions if a doctor deems a pregnancy medically futile and for victims of rape and incest after they've filed police reports. Are you hearing in Georgia of any attempts to include a ban in cases of rape and incest, which, as you know, several states already do?
Yeah, actually, most of the people running statewide, most of the Republicans running statewide have indicated that they don't want any exceptions with respect to abortion. There has been word that the governor is considering calling a special session, basically to rewrite HB 481 to make it even stricter than it is. So it is incredibly concerning when we talk about how destabilizing this is and how it impacts women's lives just on a daily basis. Look, the Supreme Court's ruling in Dobbs goes much further than abortion. We're talking about the ability of women to be even able to get contraception or IVF. I mean, you know, fertility clinics and the ability of so many people and families to be able to have children are going to be impacted by this law. So, you know, I can't talk about this enough in terms of trying to educate people. This isn't just about abortion care necessarily. This really is about women being able to make decisions about their lives and their body and their families.
I wonder what you think the implications are for November. Attorney General, frankly, historically, is one of those offices where it can be, frankly, hard to get voters' attention, right? And people often vote along party lines. They don't even know the name necessarily of the people who's running. How do you think that this Supreme Court ruling and the potential, as you say, for other rulings that might include gay marriage has changed the political battlefield?
Look, I think one of the hardest things in terms of running statewide for something like Attorney General is that a lot of people say, well, how does that even impact me? How does that office affect me? I think this issue is one that we can talk about in terms of explaining to people, to voters, exactly why it's important to have an Attorney General in office that's going to fight for the people and is going to support the constitutional rights of women in this state.
Georgia State Senator Jen Jordan, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time. And a major show of solidarity overseas today. President Biden and world leaders at the G7 summit vowing to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes in the fight against Russian aggression. What exactly does that mean? What are the new promises the U.S. is making? You're watching Chris Jansing reports only on MSNBC.